Look at me. Go ahead, stare. You see a bag of old bones and a dusty chair. Don't you? You see a man who didn't make it. Scoff. That's the first lie they fed you. They told you that if you didn't have a corner office by 30, you were a ghost. They told you that if your name isn't glowing on a digital screen, you don't exist. It's hogwash. Pure, unadulterated hogwash. I'm 92 years old. If you check my pulse right now, it's slow, steady, calm. But if I showed you the numbers in my bank account from back when I was 40, your jaw would hit the floor. Millions. Real, cold, hard cash. And yet, the day I had the most money was the day I felt like the biggest slave. You're being scammed, kid. Every single day. You're sprinting on a treadmill that isn't even plugged in. You're trading your breathing, bleeding life for pieces of green paper and a brand that nobody will remember when you're under the dirt. I was just like you, a prodigy, top of the class, the golden boy. And then I heard a story, a simple, stupid story about a frog. It sounds like a fairy tale, but it's the only truth I've ever known. It's the reason I walked away from the millions. It's the reason I'm sitting here, happy as a clam, while my successful friends are 6 feet under, worked to death by a society that didn't even know their middle names. Stop scrolling. Stop moving. For just 5 minutes, be still. I'm going to tell you why being deaf is the only way you'll ever truly hear the music of this life. There were 2 frogs. Both fell into a big steel bucket of cream. Deep, cold, no way out. The first frog, he was smart, real smart. He looked around, assessed the situation, calculated the odds. He knew the walls were too high. He knew the cream was too thick. He knew, with absolute certainty, that he was done for. So he stopped kicking. He gave up, and he drowned in 2 minutes flat. The second frog, he was deaf, stone deaf. He couldn't hear the first frog's logic. He couldn't hear the voice in his own head saying, "Quit, you fool, it's over." So he just kept kicking and kicking and kicking. Didn't make a lick of sense, but he kicked anyway. And you know what happened? That cream turned to butter. He climbed out, lived another day. Pause, let's sink in. Now, you're sitting there thinking, that's cute, old man, real cute. But you're missing it. You're missing the whole point. Society is that first frog screaming in your ear every single day. You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You need this degree. You need that certification. You need to hustle harder, sleep less, grind more, post more, be more. It's a voice in a bucket telling you to drown with dignity. I was 28 years old, Columbia University, PhD track, philosophy and economics. I had professors shaking my hand, telling me I was destined for greatness. I had a future so bright you'd need sunglasses just to look at it. And I was miserable, absolutely miserable.
I trust you understand what is at stake.
I met a man in 1959. His name was Howard. Wore a suit that cost more than my father made. In a year, drove a Cadillac the color of champagne. He offered me a job. Sales, investments, the whole 9 yards. My professors nearly had stroke. "You're throwing your life away," they said. "You're abandoning scholarship for what? Money? How pedestrian. How utterly beneath you." Scoff. I took the job anyway. Within 3 years, I was rich. Filthy rich. I had the house, the car, the watch, the respect. I had everything the rat race promised me I needed to be happy. And I wanted to put a bullet in my brain. Every morning, same script. Wake up at 5. Shower. Shave. Tie that noose around my neck they called a necktie. Smile at people I couldn't stand. Sell things I didn't believe in. Come home. Pour a drink. Stare at the wall. Repeat. I had a blank check to happiness, and I couldn't cash it. You know why? Because I was still listening. I was still hearing every voice in that bucket telling me what success was supposed to look like. The corner office, the portfolio, the headlines, the legacy. I was the smart frog, drowning in cream, convinced I was winning. Then, my daughter was born. 1963, April 14th. She came out screaming, red-faced, furious at the world. The nurse handed her me, and I looked into those tiny eyes and I heard nothing. Silence. For the first time in my entire life. I couldn't hear the voices. I walked into Howard's office the next morning. He was sitting there behind that massive mahogany desk, looking at a spreadsheet like it was the Holy Bible. He didn't even look up, just said, "Benedict, the quarterly numbers are in. You're getting a bonus. Buy the wife something shiny." I looked at him. I looked at the gold pen in my hand. I looked at the skyline of New York through the window, and all I could see was the bucket, the cream, the drowning. I didn't say a word. I just took that gold pen and I laid it down, right on top of his precious spreadsheet. Howard looked up then. "What are you doing?" "That's a $500 Parker." I looked him straight in the eye and said, "I'm becoming a frog, Howard. A deaf one." He thought I'd lost my mind. Maybe I had. I walked out of that building, through the revolving doors, and I didn't stop walking until I hit Central Park. I sat on a bench for 3 hours. I watched a squirrel bury a nut. I watched a kid fall down and get back up. I watched the clouds, and for the first time, I wasn't calculating the ROI of my time. I was just breathing. My bank account was full, but my soul had been on life support for a decade. It was time to pull the plug on the scam. My colleagues thought I'd lost my marbles. "You're walking away from this. At your age, at your peak, you'll be broke in a year. You'll be a nobody." There was again the voice in the bucket. I didn't listen. I went stone deaf. I took what I'd saved, enough to buy a small house outright. No mortgage, and I became a nobody. A beautiful, wonderful nobody. I taught piano lessons to kids in the neighborhood. $5 an hour. Sometimes they paid me in cookies their mothers baked. I was home by 3 every single day. I had dinner with my family. Real dinner. Not reheated leftovers while reading contracts. I taught my daughter to ride a bike. I watched every sunset I wanted to watch. I read books that had nothing to do with profit margins. I got poor. real poor by their standards. And I got rich, real rich by mine. You want to know the kicker? The absolute knee slapper. 20 years later, 1983, I ran into Howard. Remember him? The champagne Cadillac? He looked 70 at 55. Gray. Thin. Hollow. He'd had 2 heart attacks. His kids didn't speak to him. His wife left him for someone who was actually around. He had $12 million in the bank, and he told me. Hand to God. He told me, I envy you. I'd trade it all to have what you have. But he wouldn't. He couldn't, because he never went deaf. He kept listening to that smart frog telling him to drown with dignity, to go down with the ship, to sacrifice himself on the altar of success. He died in 1991, massive coronary, at his desk. They found him with a pen still in his hand.
Now, let me ask you something, and don't you dare lie to me. I'm too old for lies, and you're too young to waste time on them. What are you kicking toward right now? Butter or drowning? Because I see you. I see all of you, glued to those glowing rectangles, chasing likes, chasing followers, chasing some influencer's fake life that's as real as a $3 bill. You're working jobs you hate, to buy things you don't need, to impress people you don't even like. You call it ambition. I call it slow suicide. Pause, heavy. They've got you convinced that rest is laziness, that saying no is weakness, that if you're not grinding 24/7, you're falling behind. Behind what? Behind who? The guy who's gonna have a heart attack at 42? You're in the bucket, kid. And that smart frog is whispering in your ear right now. You can't quit. You've got bills. You've got responsibilities. You've got a reputation to maintain. Hogwash. Your bills will always be there. Your responsibilities will multiply like rabbits. Your reputation, nobody's gonna remember it. I promise you that. In 100 years, nobody will know your name. Not your boss, not your followers, nobody. But your daughter will remember if you were there. Your son will remember if you showed up. Your own heart will remember if you let it beat, or if you sold it for stock options and a parking space with your name on it. I'm not telling you to quit your job tomorrow and live in a van. I'm not some kind of hippie preaching free love and unemployment.
I'm telling you to go deaf. Deaf to the noise. Deaf to the comparison. Deaf to every voice that tells you your worth is measured in dollars, degrees, or digital applause. I'm 92 years old. I've got maybe, if I'm lucky, a year left. 2 tops. And I'm telling you right now, sitting in this chair, looking back at 9 decades on this spinning rock, the only things that mattered were the things I can't put a price tag on. The morning my daughter said, I love you, Dad, for the first time. The night my wife and I danced in the kitchen to no music at all. The afternoon I sat by a lake and did absolutely nothing and felt absolutely everything. That's butter, kid. That's what the kicking is for. You think the smart frog was smart. He wasn't. He was scared. He let fear dress up as logic, and it killed him. The deaf frog? He didn't have faith. He didn't have a plan. He just refused to stop living until he was dead. Be the deaf frog. Turn off the voices. Stop asking permission from people who don't even know what they want from their own lives. Stop waiting for the right time, because there isn't one. There's only now, and now, and now. Kick, not because it makes sense, not because someone's watching, not because you'll get a trophy or a promotion or a pat on the back. Kick because you're alive, and being alive means you get to choose butter over drowning every single day. I chose 60 years ago. Best decision I ever made. Now it's your turn. Go be deaf. I've spent my life learning these lessons the hard way. Now, I want to help you avoid the same stones in your pockets. I'm opening up a small inner circle, a lifetime membership for those who want to live with intention. For the first 200 of you who join us today, it's completely free for life. After that, I'm afraid it will become a paid membership. Subscribe now and join our community. Don't let this be another thing you meant to do but forgot. Share this with a friend who needs to hear this. Don't let them miss out on this journey with us. And please, tell me in the comments, which of these regrets hit you the hardest today? I'll be reading. I'll be here, watching the sunset, hoping you make better choices than I did. Take care of yourselves and each other. It's all that really matters in the end. Notice, this video is a creative work of storytelling. The character of Benedict is fictional and designed to reflect shared human experiences and life lessons. Any financial figures or personal stories mentioned are for illustrative and educational purposes only. This content does not provide professional financial, legal, or mental health advice. Copyright 2026, The 92-Year Witness. All rights reserved.